and thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Patterson. We want to get right to the breaking news we're following involving the Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings have a new head coach.
Mike Zimmer is the 9th head coach in franchise history and will be formally introduced on Friday.
January 15th, 2014. The Minnesota Vikings hired their 9th coach in franchise history, Bengals defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer. He was a straight-up, no bullshit, tell it how it is type of coach. He took over a team that ranked 31st in total defense. They had key talent, and in his first year he drafted the pieces to form the defense he envisioned, like Anthony Barr, Antoine Exum, and Shamar Stephen. He also took a gamble for a franchise quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. In the 2014 season opener, the Minnesota Vikings dominated the St. Louis Rams, and the defense that ranked 31st in the league the year before looked dominant. Combined with a stout rushing attack from Cordero Patterson and Adrian Peterson, this team looked good. Mike Zimmer picked up his first win as a head coach, but the moment was shortly lived as tragedy soon struck.
Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson was thrown for a big loss today. The NFL suspended him without pay for the rest of this season and possibly longer after Peterson pleaded no contest to physically abusing his 4-year-old son.
Good to see you. How you been? Pretty good. Good? Yeah, you know. So, well, you've been through all this, you know. Every week is a different week, and there's some kind of...
Well, you start off bad losing your best player.
Yeah.
Without Adrian Peterson, the Minnesota Vikings fell to a 7-9 record, and the impact was felt the entire season without the Vikings' best player.
Anybody with Peterson is a better team. he's good, man.
Yeah, their team is so different without Adrian Peterson. So different.
In 2015, with Adrian Peterson back, Mike Zimmer completely turned the team around. You could feel that the culture had changed. The Vikings had drafted key guys on defense like Trey Waynes, Eric Kendricks, and Daniil Hunter. This was also the year that they drafted star wide receiver Stephon Diggs in the 5th round. The defense went from one of the worst in the league to one of the best. They ranked 13th in overall defense by the end of the year. They finished with an 11-5 record, secured the NFC North for the first time since 2009 with a Week 17 win at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. Now the Vikings faced the Seattle Seahawks at home, a team that had already demolished them in Week 13. It was a -8-degree day with a wind chill of almost -30, and both defenses were dominating this game. Minnesota took a 9-0 lead, but then more tragedy struck.
Oh, a high snap off his shoulder, and now Wilson just trying to get it away, and wide open, making the catch is Tyler Lockett. And Lockett is inside the 20, and Tyler Lockett gets slung down at the 4-yard line.
Teddy Bridgewater. 25 minutes into practice today, Bridgewater went down with a non-contact injury.
Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater suffered a dislocated left knee and a...
August 30th, 2016. Mike Zimmer lost his franchise quarterback. Zimmer and Spielman did not want to throw the season away, so they traded for Eagles quarterback Sam Bradford. The Vikings followed up the 2015 division title with a disappointing season in 2016, finishing 8-8 and missing the playoffs. Mike Zimmer also suffered a detached retina and had to have eye surgery midway through the season. Even after starting 5-0 and having what looked like the best defense in the league, they completely fell apart mid-season. This was largely due to their poor offensive line. In 2017, the Minnesota Vikings started their season without Adrian Peterson on their roster. First time they had done so in over a decade. They improved their offensive line in the offseason, adding outside tackles Riley Reiff and Mike Remmers. They also drafted Ohio State center Pat Elflein. Sam Bradford was named the starting quarterback in 2017 and dominated the season opener against the Saints on Monday Night Football. But after that game, Sam Bradford suffered a knee injury that would end up ending his season. Mike Zimmer turned to journeyman Case Keenum, and the Vikings never looked back. With Mike Zimmer's elite defense returning to their dominant 2016 form, elite wide receiver play from Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, Case Keenum showing that he can lead and play QB1, and a stout game plan from offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur, Mike Zimmer put up his best record in 2017 at 13-3. The Vikings earned the number 2 seed in the NFC, as well as a first-round bye in the playoffs.
What you think and what you believe is who you are.
In the divisional round, Mike Zimmer faced the New Orleans Saints for the first ever playoff game at US Bank Stadium. In the first half, the defense and offense both dominated. They held the Saints scoreless as they led 17-0 at halftime. Many people consider this the peak of Mike Zimmer, and really the end of his rise.
Murray gets bottled up in the backfield. Backs up and down he goes, and a big sack for New Orleans. Second down and 10 now. Breeze, end zone, has a man, touchdown, Michael Thomas.
The Vikings were outscored 24-6 in the second half of the game until 10 seconds left, and were absolutely dominated by Drew Brees and company.
The Saints are back on top.
Kidding me? Are you kidding me? Hey! Yeah! Let's go.
He's got to score. Let's go.
One play at a time.
We needed the first 3 drives of the game.
One play at a time. This is all or nothing right here.
10 seconds to go. 24-23 Saints. Vikings at their own 39. It's third down. We need a Minneapolis miracle. Keenum steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
Mike Zimmer was able to pull off the win for his first playoff win as a head coach, thanks to a fluke play by Case Keenum, Stephon Diggs, and a horrible tackling job by Marcus Williams. The Vikings would win, but go on to get outcoached and absolutely dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. They started off giving Vikings fans a lot of hope, scoring on their opening drive and going up 7-0. then, the Vikings defense that was so dominant all year would surrender 31 unanswered points. Nick Foles absolutely dominated them with 352 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Mike Zimmer was completely outcoached by Doug Peterson. This was the last time Mike Zimmer would ever reach the NFC Championship game as the Vikings head coach. In the 2018 offseason, the Vikings decided to move on from Case Keenum and sign quarterback Kirk Cousins to a 3-year, fully guaranteed $84 million contract.
It's important for myself and Rick and the organization. We picked the right guy that is help us continue to move forward. If we don't do that, then I'll probably get fired.
This was the beginning of the fall of Mike Zimmer. The 2018 season was a complete disappointment. From the death of Tony Sperano to the play calling of John Del Filippo that eventually got him fired, nothing went right for the Vikings. The defense had also taken a major step back from 2017. They fell to 8-7-1 and missed the playoffs. The following year, they were able to make the playoffs as 6th-round wildcard contenders and even upset the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome, knocking them out of the playoffs. Again, the miracle was short-lived as Mike Zimmer was blown out against the 49ers in the divisional round. Following the 2019 season, Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman were given questionable contract extensions. Kirk Cousins' contract had finally caught up with the Vikings, and players like Xavier Rhodes and Linval Joseph were released. The 2020 season was the worst defense Mike Zimmer ever had, and was constantly the reason why they were losing games. With a lot of young players, injuries, and lack of experience, you could tell the Zim Reapers were a thing of the past. For the 2021 season, the Vikings had high expectations, as Mike Zimmer was the longest tenured coach in the league without a Super Bowl. However, with weak play calling, horrible clock management, and constant failure to be aggressive, the Vikings were just as bad in 2021 as they were in 2020. You could tell Zimmer lost his touch on the defensive side of the ball, as his defense was constantly giving up a lot of points and big plays. By the end of the 2021 season, Mike Zimmer was fired. There were also several Vikings players that spoke up when Zimmer left, saying that he created a toxic and fear-based environment. It was clear Zimmer was no longer fit to be a head coach, and Mark and Ziggy Wilf made the right call firing Zimmer and moving forward in a new direction.